Hello and welcome to Paris InfraWeek 2025 on Be Smart, the leading international event for infrastructure finance. This year, key themes are clear: sovereignty, transition and sustainable investment. To discuss how private and public capital can work together to drive the next wave of infrastructure projects, I'm joined by Grégoire Chauvière, Drian. Hello, Grégoire.
Hello.
You are head of France at the European Investment Bank. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
And we're joined also by Henrik, Raber. Hello, Henrik.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You're global head of global banking at Standard Chartered Bank.
Yes, I head the global banking business at Standard Chartered, a major international bank. And one of the areas we specifically focus on is emerging market infrastructure, where we've been a leader for the last few decades.
Yeah, and you're very invested. So what are the key figures of Standard Chartered Bank in this area, infrastructure?
Well, we deploy many billions a year in emerging markets across our footprint, which is Africa, Asia, Middle East. We've also recently been growing in Europe and North America, but we've seen significant increase in infrastructure. So this year we're up by over 30% in our infrastructure investment, and we think this growth rate is going to continue in the coming years. There's a huge demand for infrastructure, and also from Europe.
Yeah, sure. EIB, European Investment Bank, Grégoire, what is exactly EIB? Explain to us.
EIB this is the Bank of the European Union. The shareholders are the 27 member states, and the objective of this bank, launched by the Rome Treaty in 1957, is to invest into projects with a positive impact on Europe economies. We invest 90% of our activity inside the EU and 10% outside the EU. And just to provide you with some figures, we will reach this year somehow 100 billion to be invested within Europe.
Okay, big billions on this table today. The EIB calls itself the EU's climate bank. What are your priorities today for financing infrastructure in France? Energy, transport, digital, all of them?
Absolutely. 6 years ago, this bank, the EIB, took a very important decision. We've decided, with the support of our shareholders, the member states, to switch into the bank with a main focus, which is the energy transition, the ecological transition. To do so, we take three different objectives. First of all, to avoid and to skip any project with a negative impact on climate. To skip any project, to stop to finance any project mobilizing fossil fuel. And last but not least, to invest at least 50% of our activity for projects with a positive impact on climate. With 100 billion to be invested, it means more than 50 billion to be invested for projects with a positive impact on climate. It means, by definition, energy production, such as wind farms, solar projects, and so on. It means transport, decarbonized transport, railway for sure, and also we are investing also with enterprises to decarbonize all the productions. And by doing so, last year in France, which is one of the countries where we have the most important pipeline of projects to reduce the climate impact, we invested more than 70% of our activity for projects with a positive impact on climate. Yeah. More or less, it means 6 to 7 billion to be invested in this area.
Okay, same question for you, Henrik. What are your key focus at the moment? Is it energy, transport, digital?
Well, infrastructure is now one of the most exciting areas of finance. Now, you may not have said that a few years ago, but infrastructure is booming. And as you mentioned, we used to talk about tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Now we're talking about projects that are billions. And as we all know, infrastructure spend is going to go into the trillions. It is very exciting. Some of the interesting trends we're seeing are naturally around AI and data centers. And with that comes a significant increase in size. really strongly related to the data centers is the need for power. So we're seeing a lot of interest in power and renewable power, and we're also seeing that globally, both in the United States, Europe, and our emerging market countries. But I'd follow through that there's a bit of a renaissance going on in infrastructure. So renewable of anything from bridges to roads to airport expansion. It's a very exciting time. And one of the reasons it's exciting is the new structuring capabilities and the new types of capital. So private capital, public capital, some really interesting partnerships are happening. And as I said before, it's one of the most interesting places of finance currently.
Yeah, and not only for institutionals, but also for the private. Everybody almost can invest now. It's a new asset class. Private equity in infrastructure is booming at the moment.
I think one of the reasons for that is the returns in the infrastructure space have gone up. So now you can go into an infrastructure fund and you can get double-digit returns, which are quite excited, and unleveraged double-digit returns. So you're seeing a lot of private capital move into the infrastructure space that previously may have been in private equity. That has also been part of the work we've done with our multilateral friends, for example, around structuring, where there's now first loss structuring, there's the ability to do ABS, and many different opportunities. So this capital push, I think, is really going to drive infrastructure forward and be very excitable. Renewables is at the heart of driving power, but there are many other things going on. And if you believe in AI, power is going to be the key. Power will then drive knowledge.
Sure. Henrik is talking about capital push. We've seen that private investor can now invest. Do you think, Grégoire, it's a good thing to be able, as a private investor, to be able to invest in infrastructure?
Definitely. Our objective also, it's within the IB, is to have a scale up. It means to catalyze, to crowding in private sector and to channel this capacity of investment into priorities. By doing so, this is by definition in our statute, we are, thanks to the model of the IB, which is important also, we are a public bank, but we did not consume any budgetary money. This is important to highlight. We issue bonds on the market, and thanks to a good signature, we are AAA rated, which is quite good. And thanks to that, the cost of our resources is quite competitive. And as our objective is not to earn money, we transfer this advantage to our clients. By doing so, we are proposing to local authorities, to private sectors, an access to competitive resources. And by doing so, we are providing money, we are focusing on projects which are important for Europe, and we are trying to crowding in private sector. We share the risk, and this is also important for the EIB to be there when there is a new technology, when there is a need for public investment without any costs for the citizens, which is important to highlight.
Yeah, do you invest in AI, as Henrik said?
Of course, but this is one of the priorities of the EU. President Macron launched a big event summit last February. President Ursula von der Leyen announced an amount of 100 billion to be invested in. Yeah. EIB is by definition part of this program, and we are investing, we will invest in this important infrastructure needs launched by, supported by private sector or either by local authorities. This is our role, this is in our mission to do so, and by attracting also private sector, and if we can get to double digits profit, I think it will be a good signal also for attracting private money.
For sure. Henrik, a question about AI. Is that enough, this kind of money, even if there is some good initiative? When we're looking at what happened on the other side of the ocean, they invest over there in the US in trillions. Is this enough to invest here?
I think Europe is very much going to be a leader in the digital space and investment in AI.
Why?
Because I think there's a strong backbone of infrastructure here already. There is already a strong power grid. Now the transmission mechanisms, both in power and water, will need to be improved in investments. But a lot of the ingredients Europe has already. it already has some of the leaders in the industry. A lot of the parts that go into the digital data centers are produced by European leading companies. So I think Europe will be very much at the forefront. I think there's also going to be a focus that many countries will want to have domestic data centers. They'll want their data within their country. So each country is going to expand. So I think the capital will be there, the returns is there. There may be, you know, a couple of countries that are pushing ahead slightly quicker than others. They may have different needs, but I think Europe's going to be at the forefront. And one of the interesting things is that we see even North American investors very keen on investing in European infrastructure. In Europe, there's been a great track record of delivering the projects, and that is super important. So the whole ecosystem is going to expand, and we're very excited about what's going on.
Yeah, a bit about geopolitical strategy. We've seen decreasing rates this year, but still geopolitical tension. Are investors still confident into about long-term infrastructure and this kind of investment, or are they becoming more cautious at the end of this year?
I think investors are incredibly confident, and lower rates is going to be a very positive factor in infrastructure investment and will drive more capital. Lowering the cost of capital and the fact that Europe has good cost of capital is going to be core to driving the investment. So I think there's a lot of positives. Yes, there's been some geopolitics, but we go through that every decade. Yeah. I'm sure that's going to continue in the future, but the drive around infrastructure is going to be key. And actually your point about rates is really important, because lower rates will enable capital on scale. There'll be leverage associated, and that will fund these projects.
Grégoire, the EIB, is it impacted by what happened in France today with the political tensions that we've seen over the past weeks?
Two comments on that. By definition, we are very sensitive of what is happening on political instability, let's say like that, in France. But on the other hand, local authorities, investors, banks, they are still investing, and they are looking for stability. And that's why they are coming to us also for to benefit from these resources, these competitive resources, and to try to avoid, say, a stop in the investment program, in the investment dynamic. Yeah. We just had the good news. The growth in France is higher than expected, which
True.
Is
not 0.5%. Woohoo!
No, it's not so bad. So
for the third quarter.
Yeah, we'll be there with the government, with our governor is the Minister of Finance, Roland Lescure, so he's perfectly aware of what EIB is delivering in France. Last year, we're investing 12 billion into corporate, into enterprises. We supported local authorities' investment for infrastructure, transport, energy, renovation for public buildings such as lycée, collège, école primaire. All of this is supported by the EIB in partnership with the Caisse des Dépôts in France. And this is important also to keep this dynamic of investment and to support investing and to support companies, to support local authorities, to support banks and funds for them to provide resources for SMEs and mid-cap.
I think you could also look at it the other way around, that some of the global changes have actually created a much bigger push around infrastructure and created enablement of capital. So after several decades maybe of a slower pace, what's happened globally is creating a huge surge and a lot of focus in each country to develop their own infrastructure, which in some cases has not been invested in for a long period of time.
Okay, in a nutshell, I've seen that you are both very enthusiastic about this asset class infrastructure. Thank you both for sharing your insights. Thank you for coming at this show, and see you on Be Smart. Thank you, Henrik.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grégoire.